my mic on. Okay, here we go. My mic had a fuck up. Uh, Hello and welcome to YRC SMACKDOwn special pre-recorded edition because Dsim likes to make my job harder. I'm here with Digi again, and this week we're talking about. Yes, hello. And this week we're talking about Fallout because, like, we talking about Skyrim would be too mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're both made by the same company, oddly enough.
Well, actually, Fallout was worked on by Interplay, like back at late '90s first, before Bethesda actually grabbed the rights because Interplay was having financial issues at the time.
That actually makes sense the more I think about it, because, like saying Peggle was made by EA doesn't roll off the tongue as well as Peggle was made by PopCap. I would say it's bad that these big old companies are swallowing up tiny people on the brink of death to try and incorporate them into their stuff. But at the same time, if it wasn't for Bethesda, I guess we wouldn't have Fallout and Skyrim today.
Yeah.
So when I think Fallout, I think nuclear. Is that basically what Fallout is?
Post-apocalyptic future that happened after nuclear war.
So I got the nuclear part right.
Yeah.
And there's I think 6 or so games of it. At least 6, from what I could tell.
476 Shelter. I think there's around 9, maybe, because there's some spin-offs like Tactics, Brotherhood of Steel.
Then there's that mobile app almost no one cares about.
But in the main series though, 1, 2, 3, New Vegas. I think there's around you're like for the main series though you're right, like 6. It's just that there's like a couple others because of Tactics, Brotherhood of Steel, and
right. It's like
Shelter.
Because other than the numbered entries, I'm only also aware of New Vegas. So what is New Vegas? Is that like a side game, a sequel, a prequel?
Kind of a sequel. It's like it focuses more on the Mojave Wasteland on the West Coast, since all 1, 2 are actually take place on the West Coast.
And so is this before or after 3?
After 3. I think it was 2082 or 3, somewhere in there.
Alright, so it's like 3 but with more stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like the Get Out of Hell side campaign to Saints Row 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so what can you tell us in terms of like a rough idea of the story of the Fallout series?
As well, from what I've known, that the Fallout franchise, that the story, like, at least before the events of the other games, that there was like a resource wars that was going on with America and China, but there's also like a couple of other countries, but they weren't entirely mattered. It was just only America and China that kind of were the main focus. And also apparently, like, this resource war has been happening like since for decades. Like, I think there was even a Anchorage thing that China had before U.S. actually managed to defeat China with the encourage liquidation because of, well, certain things like the invention of the T-51 power armor.
Wow.
The war, I think, lasted until like October 23rd. I think it was October 23, 2077, because apparently called it the Great War, basically a 2-hour conflict of every part of the world actually being hit by nuclear bombs.
The Great War, huh?
Yeah.
You know, before World War II happened, World War One was just called the Great War. That's insane to think, cause like perspectives and shit. I think I'd call this World War Three. Like I don't know which is scarier about that story, the fact that it's just nuclear war in our very world, or the fact that it sounds like it could actually happen in the next 5 years.
Hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, I mean, you could say in a way it's like that. It's just again, it's just that the other countries and whatnot just didn't really matter that much compared to with America and China.
Yeah,
They set the war concerned.
yeah, I think it's like a matter of perspective. Like it's like they said in Trolls World Tour, history is written by the winners.
Anyway, another deal is that there have been residents here and there that actually, and well, at least the ones in America, actually entered these underground shelters known as vaults that were developed by Vault-Tec, one of the companies that kind of helped out during the war effort.
Right.
Yeah. After all the nuclear bombs been dropped on the planet and whatnot, I don't know, it's like decades when I go by, to where, there happened, I think, I don't know if this was like a decade or so after the bombs drop or whatever, but there have been some vaults here and there that actually have open, and the others actually go exploring the wasteland, exploring the American wasteland in some areas.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Although, I think there are still some other ones that haven't been open, like Vault 101 and Vault 3 before the events of the game. Because when I know that the vaults in Fallout are not only underground shelters, but apparently they were like meant to be experiment. Like each vault has some kind of like social experiment gimmick or whatever.
Social experiment.
Yeah, something like that. With I think only a couple of vaults, like Vault 13, that are actually more like control vaults or something.
Whoa. Like usually when I hear social experiment, I think of those shitty prank channels on YouTube.
Yeah. Like, I think Vault 101 is like one of those vaults that's not meant to be open because of something. Apparently there's also these two vaults where they had like similar experiment of 99, or it's like 9, I don't know, it's like one portion of this gender, but only one specific individual of the other gender. Like you got that one vault that's like all men and one woman, and the other one being basically the reverse thingy of many women and one man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is be considered sexist. I can understand why they would have like a bunch of men and one woman together, but I don't see the reverse happening like realistically.
Right. But anyway, let's just say ever since then that there have been certain parts of the wasteland that kind of generate different type of creatures because of either that or some kind of like a liquid substance known as EVV, forced evolutionary virus.
Whoa.
Say that or some kind of radiation thing.
It's like
because, like, for example, the first Fallout game that apparently some guy, I forgot his name was, that actually dapped into EVV vats and with a couple of other people become this abomination known as the Master.
Jeebus.
And the Master actually created like an army of super mutants, intelligent creatures that were like once like humanoid like creatures that were once humans, but they were like dapped into EVV vats.
Crazy.
Most of them, I think, are kind of dumb. Well, there are some specific ones like Marcus and some lieutenant guy that actually kept their like intelligence.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm. All right. So all these Fallout games take place after the war. There's nothing in the war before the war.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I will admit though there were like a few ones. Well, actually, there is like Fallout 4, at least the intro that actually took place like a little bit before the bomb at Boston. Yeah, the one before Boston was dropped. Just only a little bit of it. And I think there was a simulation in Fallout 3 where it took place during the Anchorage battle. Again, that was a simulation thing, but I mean, I guess if you want to count that as a war event or something.
Right.
But yeah,
Go ahead.
most other games take place after the war.
Wow. So, I mean, I guess it would make sense. There's a like they want to tell a story of what happened after the big war. I guess if they told details of the war, then historians would either be flipped out that they got it wrong, or or people, if there was a war right now, people would be inspired by it.
Eh.
Right. Like, like, like one thing that comes to my mind about Fallout is the soundtrack. It's either 50s songs or songs that sound like the 50s.
Yeah, like, from what I've known in Interplay's case, I think they only had like one song like featuring their introduction, while Bethesda actually did incorporate multiple songs from like 1940s, 50s, like Ink Spots, like the Ink Spots, uh, Bob Crosby, Bobcat something. I don't know.
Probably Bing
And also
Crosby or
apparently
something.
and there were a couple songs that were done by Louis Armstrong. Added to, well, actually no, just one as far as I know, because.
Was it What a Wonderful World?
No, I really wish though, because that song seemed like it could fit in.
Somewhere.
Instead, it's called "A Kiss That Built the Dream On."
Hmm.
But that was, I think that was featured in Fallout 2, like an introduction.
Sounds equally as uplifting and cheesy. Yeah, like I mean, I think the soundtrack does really well to set the tone of the games. But what I hate about it is if you try to make like YouTube content on it, the bots go apeshit.
Yeah.
Like, like I can tell you this from experience. I was working with my buddy Orion one day on some Minecraft video shit. I can't remember if it was a stream or an actual video, but I do remember that it was posted and it sat there for a while. Then all of a sudden it got hit with like a crap ton of claims. I'm like, where are these claims coming from? And then there's like these copyrighted songs never heard of before. They look like really old people shit. I'm like, oh wait, we played on the Fallout map.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out Fallout's music is very copyrighted despite being very old.
Yeah. Although I'm kind of glad not all songs are, copyrighted, because apparently some of the songs from Ink Spots actually didn't get copyrighted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Actually,
either public domain or original.
I don't know. You want to know what's funny though? I don't know if this was done by Bud Crosby, but the song "Way Back Home." I don't know why. Not only I do think it does fit within the theme of Fallout, but also for some weird reason, it just kind of feels like one of those classic Disney animation songs.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't even know what it is, but I am already intrigued by the idea of a classic Disney song that's not "It's a Small World."
Right.
If they put that song in a Fallout game, I would set it on fire.
Don't set the world. Sorry. There was a song that was done by Ink Spots that were like that.
Yeah, yeah. So okay. So we've gushed upon details of the setting and the story, but the important thing about a game is how it plays, right?
The interplay. This actually is a little varied. Interplays games. Well, only at least 3 of them are like turn-based isometric view RPGs. Well, with tactics, being a little actiony, but still an isometric view. But with Brotherhood, although Interplays is only Fallout game on the consoles, Brotherhood of Steel, I think, was in a third-person shooter camera thing. While Bethesda's games, at least most of them, were FPS. I don't know. It's like a switch between third person to first person, if you want to, RPG.
So they didn't become a mainstream style of game until Bethesda stepped in.
Yeah.
Everything before that was like some kind of niche nerd stuff.
Yeah.
I can kind of see like some success in that on both sides. I'm gonna guess. I have a guess, but what is your favorite of the series?
It's actually a tie between New Vegas and 3.
Wow, I was way off. I was thinking you were gonna say 4.
Yep. Fallout 4, it's okay. Like, it's like I still think it's a good game. It's just that I feel like 3 New Vegas has some things that are done way much better compared to it.
Can you elaborate on that?
For example, not gonna lie, I feel like Fallout 3 New Vegas had RPG elements. I feel like it had more RPG elements shown than Fallout 4, because with 4, it feels more of a FPS TPS shooter than an RPG.
Wow.
Yeah. And with the perk, and I kind of like when Fallout 3 New Vegas have a level cap, because, oh boy, with Fallout 4, since it has no level cap, you can technically just get all the perks, with enough effort.
Right. So Fallout 3, I guess you would say, encourages replayability because you're going to be capped before you get all the perks, so it encourages you to play it again and try to get different perks and see how they play.
Yeah, something like that. One thing I will admit about New Vegas, I did feel like it had like a much better replayability than Fallout 3 did. Because with Fallout 3, not gonna lie, it was a little bit more linear for the most part. Like, helping out with the Brotherhood of Steel against the Enclave, with Project Purity. With New Vegas, on the other hand, though, there's like these 4 endings that you could, there's these 4 endings you could be able to go for. Either helping out with the NCR, defeating against the Legion, and actually, holding the Vegas, helping the Legion actually defeat the NCR and push them out of Vegas, so that way they can become the entire thing of Upper Dam or whatever. Helping out Mr. House with defeating both the NCR and Legion, and I don't know, something about Vegas, whatever. Or Independent New Vegas, where you take out Mr. House, Mr. House, NCR, and Legion, push them out of the Vegas, and, well, New Vegas just being an independent thing.
Wow.
Fallout 4 does kind of have a 4 endings, too. Like, you got the Minutemen, Railroad, Institute, and Brotherhood of Steel. Although, you want to know what's funny? 3 of the 4 factions endings have pretty much the same last quest, where you have to infiltrate the Institute, plant this core thing, and just explode the Institute right there. Well, that's just if you want to not to join with the Institute or something like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So I was doing some searching on like some weird sensory crap with Fallout, and apparently in Japan, Fallout 3 had alteration with their side quest, The Power of the Atom.
Something like that, because there was a quest in Fallout 3 where you could actually implant this device onto the nuclear bomb. You had to go all the way to the Tenpenny Tower, and then from there you can actually go with Alice. Well, be on this rooftop the area with Alistair Tenpenny, the owner of the tower, obviously, pressing this like little switch, and it blows up all of Megaton, and you get the evil con. And you get a very evil con.
Yeah. Apparently, according to this article I read, the Japanese version doesn't have Mr. Burke in it, meaning you can't blow anything up.
I think there's a reason for that, because it's like a reference to the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and some other area in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the cultural significance of them changing that. At least that's the only thing they changed. It says Australia had like a heavily censored version of the entire game.
Something about Brahmin or whatever.
Hmm.
Which are these like cows with two heads.
Right.
Yeah. So the things I could say to you, like with the stories, like the basic idea of stories, is like for Fallout 1, I think it takes place 2061. You're playing as the guy known as you're playing the player character known as the Vault Dweller. He or she is getting contacted by the overseer of Vault 13 that the water chip of Vault 13 is kind of like hit the gas. I don't know, like the phrase of it stopped working or close to being stopped working, and they don't have the part, and they don't really have the mental part thingies or whatever to replace the water chip and stuff like that and such. Your Vault Dweller character has to like go out of Vault 13 and trying to find a water chip, and I think it's around some months to a year before the water chip fully gets the ghost or whatever. Again, I don't know what phrase that people call it, where the something just dies on you, Because
Right.
once that water chip is dead, every thing in Vault, I don't know, every person in Vault 13 eventually dies.
Hmm.
For Fallout 2, and I think this takes place like a century, maybe, I don't know. I don't know, sometime after the events of Fallout 1, that the Vault Dweller, helping after the events of defeating the Master, it's at some point, like before the events, like the Vault Dweller established this village of Araya with other Vault Dwellers, other residents of Vault 13. And at some point afterwards, though, the Vault Dweller had some love and then had a kid, and then, the player character you're playing as Fallout 2 is known as the Chosen One, whom apparently is supposed to be the grandson / granddaughter, again, depending on what gender you're playing as, of the Vault Dweller. What you're supposed to do, though, is you have to find this thing known as the GECK, the Garden Eden Creation Kit. This thing is supposed to, like, terraform. It's like some kind of device that terraforms, like, some specific portion of land or whatever. They need this because to help out with the village of Araya, as it's been kind of experiencing a lot of drought.
Garden of Eden, huh? I guess Christians did win the war of religion.
Yeah. And while in the midst of it, there is, I think, some specific portion later on in the game, you will actually encounter the remnants of the U.S. government known as the Enclave.
Like remnants, huh? Like were they destroyed, blown up?
Kind of like remnants of the the U.S. government, because
Hmm.
after the bombs dropped, the United States wasn't as it once was.
Yeah. Like I can just imagine like people like rising from the grave trying to resume government duties like nothing happened, saying that the atomic bomb and all the wars was fake news.
Yeah. Anyway, the third, well, Bethesda's first introduction to the Fallout series. From what I've known, that one is that the player character known as the Lone Wanderer, his or her son, again depending on what gender you're playing as, actually escaped. Like I think it was like the 18th birthday of the Lone Wanderer. Yeah. That the that his or her dad actually escaped the vault because they're trying because this dad of the Lone Wanderer is trying to find trying to find some specific thing to help out with his project, also known as Project Purity, where it's like this pure. It's like trying to create this like purifier to make like water purifier to have like water be out of the not having like any radiation and giving it to the innocents of the capital wasteland.
Hmm.
There's that. Well, the Enclave also makes a return in Fallout 3, but from what I've known, that the Enclave, like after their oil rig exploded, um, after the events of Fallout 2. Some of them actually went east, I believe, and they actually found the bunker known as Rave Rock because of John Henry Eden, which is apparently some AI president, so proclaimed President AI or whatever.
Sorry. Continue.
Anyway, New Vegas. From what I know, I follow New Vegas. That again, it takes place like around 2280. I don't know. It's like around 2 or 3 because 2287. That one's Fallout 4.
Mm-hmm.
With the New Vegas thing, it basically, I think it's supposed to be the new California Republic, and Caesar's Legion trying to have some like little war with each other over the Hoover Dam. You're playing as like another thing deal is that some guy by the name of Benny actually grabbed this like platinum chip that was meant to be for Mr. House. Um, it's funny that in the Dreamy introduction that not only Benny has his platinum chip, it actually just captures your player character known as the Courier. It's that Courier just gets shot in the introduction. Like I don't know where specifically. I don't know if it was meant to be like the head or somewhere on the body. I don't know. But apparently, though, the Courier survived from that shot because some Securitron robot known as Vector. Yeah, I think it was Victor. Got into some place it under the Doc Mitchell's house.
Wow.
And now like as a Courier, waking up because again I don't even know how you managed to survive from a bullet shot like that. That Courier is supposed to go in after Benny, after Benny though, you have that option to go to the NCR, Legion, Mr. House, or Independent New Vegas, depending on where you wanted to go with that one ending.
Right.
Fallout 4, the introduction for that one, again, it's like a little bit before the nuclear bomb drop on Boston actually hit. Supposedly, like, you're either playing as, Nate or Nora, because apparently, though, the canon names, like, the males being Nate and female being Nora.
Why can't it be like South Park where we just call all the characters douchebag?
I don't know. But yeah, that's their canon names, but you can still name them something else if you want. Actually, you want to know it's a fun fact that if you do type some specific name, Codsworth will actually say it. Like, I think there's like one where he says that Mr. Fuckface.
He actually says fuckface.
Yeah.
Wow, that uh, all the stuff I'm reading about censorship, I'm surprised that slipped through the cracks.
Then again, Fallout is meant to be focused on an older audience, so like, and with the whole blood gore shtick, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
unless you live in Germany, in which case no such thing exists.
Yeah. Anyway, Fallout and Fallout 4, that you're going to the vault known as Vault 111, which apparently, though, that's for its experiment gimmick is cryogenic stuff. Basically, just you're cryogenically frozen in one of these pods.
I was
Well,
frozen today.
yeah, both you and your spouse, depending on who you play as, actually do go into these like separate cryogenic vault pods. Sorry, cryogenic pods. Apparently, that the first time that you're cryogenically frozen, unfrozen, is where there's like these a couple of like institute scientists with some bounty hunter, I think, no, known as Kellogg. They grabbed this. Apparently, they grabbed the child of who the spouse was actually carrying because, as apparently the baby known as Sean. Yeah, they named their kid Sean, and it's a male. He's since he's like a vault dweller. Yeah, like dweller. Apparently, they actually have this like DNA to create these android things known as the Sith.
Sith, like Star Wars Sith?
I don't know, but yeah, Siths are basically androids.
Wow.
But anyway, let's say that despite they were trying to get wherever, the spouse is trying to not like them, but let's just say Kellogg did shot the spouse into the head, so that we get the kid. And then I think there's a second. I don't know where specifically in the timeline this first Unfrozen event happened, but your second one kind of happens like a bit much later, like 10 years after the events of Fallout 3, 2287. Anyway, the basic goal for that one though, you just have to try to find your son Sean, whom later be later in the Institute, as some old guy. Yeah, apparently in the game. Yeah, apparently in the game that since but yeah, apparently in the game he's a really an old man.
Wow. Like, what a twist. People get old.
Yeah. Fallout for Fallout 76, even though I never played that game, it's apparently it was like 21 something. Like this is like before the events of Fallout 1, because I don't know. It's like apparently though Fallout 76 is supposed to have been like the earliest in the timeline from the other Fallout games. Like again 21 something in the West Virginia mountains or whatever.
Given the title, I'd imagine it'd be 2176.
Again, like somewhere in the West Virginia area. I don't know much about that one other than it just takes place there, and you're just exploring this area and whatever the fuck.
Sounds like a tech demo to me.
Again, I never played Fallout 76 and never will be because I'm just not into MMOs like that game.
Yeah, like it's like if it was just a standard MMO like dime a dozen, who cares, right? Where they went wrong is what they expected people to do in the MMO. There was well, we need NPCs, like we need a shopkeeper, we need a guy that runs this building, we need a guy that gives you the map or whatever. And then Bethesda was like, that's the beauty of it. There will be no NPCs. The players will be the NPCs and make their own full-fledged world. And even stupid little me that's never heard of Fallout knew that was a bad idea.
Yeah. Because you said that players do not like being told what to do.
Yeah, to deviate for a second. Yeah, the same issue arises when Team Fortress 2 tried to give like a commander role. Basically, the commander would have all this heightened control of the maps and where everyone is and how everyone's health is doing. And the intent would be to use this knowledge to kind of guide the players on how to proceed in the war. But it was scrapped because, yeah, players don't like being told what to do in games.
Yeah. The most other thing I didn't like about Fallout 76 is that apparently it made like the most lore retcons possible. Like how the fuck the Brotherhood of Steel managed to get there. How the fucking Enclave got there, you know?
Yeah. I honestly don't like that they fight back against the very community that tries to help them out. Like people find out that the code is based on Fallout 4 code, so they try to fix it with Fallout 4 mods. They get banned, and then the mods don't work. And then some people will make it their mission to hunt down bugs and report them to the developers. Those people get banned under the pretense that they were exploiting them, which they were not. Yeah. And don't even get me started on the cost of running a private server.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it did so poorly. Stores were trying desperately to get rid of them. Like in Germany, you could get a free copy of Fallout 76 if you bought a thumbstick cover pack for like $5.
Damn.
And in American GameStops, we already have these special edition bundles of the Xbox One where you get a copy of Fallout 76 included. Since they were so desperate to get rid of their inventory, they included another copy of Fallout 76 with those bundles.
Oof.
I mean, they pass it off oh yeah, have another copy to give to a friend and you can all play together. I think those guys would have a better time playing with each other's joysticks, if you know what I mean. To this day, I have no idea what the deal is with Fallout 76. Clearly they don't give a shit because they're still hyping up Fallout 4 like it's part of the dynamic duo next to Skyrim.
Yeah. I will say, though, that there are a few positives I could say. Yeah, there are a few positives I do have with 76. I did like some of the creatures they involved, like the Scourged, some kind of dragging creature known as the Scourged Beast or something. I did like that they did included West Virginia cryptids like the Mothman, what was that thing called?
Take your time.
Flatwood. I gotta know. The Flatwoods monster, aka what I'd like to call the Flatwoods alien.
Aliens.
Yeah. And etc. etc. But other than that, yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't not really even. And well, I think there are a few other new weapons like the Gatling plasma. Because, well, I saw a YouTube video where it showed me all the Fallout 76 weapons, where some of them are did derive from Fallout 4, but there are some like newer ones, like again the Gatling Plasma.
Right. Speaking of weapons, I just read a thing on Fallout 3 that the same Japanese version changed the name of the Fat Man to the Nuka Launcher.
Eh, could have been a worser name.
Yeah, apparently the Fat Man was the name of the nuke that we ended up dropping on Hiroshima.
Well, that and a little boy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, Fallout 76. I was gonna give it the positive that it was the first Fallout entry to have online multiplayer, but for it's like for an entry, it's like I can appreciate an attempt, but it's like an attempt they hashed out to make a quick buck. It didn't feel like a proper attempt. Like
Yeah.
I've seen fans do better. Like going back to Skyrim again, they have the play together mod, which lets you do like online co-op.
Apparently, someone made a similar thing for Fallout New Vegas. At least the last time I checked.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like I can appreciate them trying to give us online multiplayer on an official capacity, but if the fan base that they've very well established that they don't care about can do a better job on an older game, they really fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Eh. Uh, let's see. Let's see. What else can we say about Fallout?
Well, I will say that beside from the game series, apparently there is going to be, from when I saw a few videos, apparently there's going to be a television series of Fallout.
I wonder if it'll be done by the same animation studio that did Cuphead.
I think it's more from when I saw the videos or whatnot. Apparently it's going to be a live action thing, which
Oh, that actually fits.
yeah.
Yes.
I could say, well, except for Fallout 1, 2, Tactics, and Brotherhood of Steel didn't have DLC, but Bethesda's other games did. Like, from my personal point of view, I feel like New Vegas and Fallout 3 had the more better DLCs than Fallout 4 did. Fallout 4's DLC is a mixed bag.
Yeah. I mean, like, we had that conversation earlier about the replayability of Fallout 3 in New Vegas. I think the only thing that gives Fallout 4 any sort of playability is the modding scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, have you ever heard of a mobile game called Fallout Shelter?
I did kind of mention that earlier in this thing.
Right. Let's see.
Yeah, it's like this mobile. It's like this mobile game where you make your own vault and whatever. And I think you have to keep track on certain something or whatever, like trying to keep track of newer people entering this vault, and the water, food, etc., for your vault.
Right. So apparently it is a free-to-play game with in-app purchases.
Right. I'm not entirely interested with the game, but I did like its concept.
Right. I guess I can get behind anything that inspires creativity, at least.
And well, there is this other spin-off game I mentioned known as Wasteland Warfare, but I didn't see any gameplay of that game.
Yeah, I don't even know where that is or what you can play it on.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, go ahead.
The first couple of games that were done by Interplay and published by them, I will say that I hadn't really beaten those games, but I did like them more for their story. As I know, their gameplay, it is still an RPG, but the turn-based combat, in my opinion, is a little meh. I mean, recently though, they're starting to grow on me a little bit more, but still, like, I kind of still prefer the Bethesda's style that, well, they later wrapped.
Yeah, that is a totally fair point. Um, alright, so, okay, we reached a minimum. Final words on Fallout. I'll go first. Like, from never having played it before, I can say from the way you talk about it, it's got a really rich and deep narrative, and I'd love to give it a try sometime, though, with so much content available, I'd probably be scared. I'd probably need someone to hold my hand partway through.
Right.
Uh, well, anything you want to say to last
Well,
words about Fallout?
for me, it's actually one of my most favorite series I ever came across with. Yeah, like one of my favorite series I ever came across ever since like during my teenager years. Like 2015 is where I did like play Fallout 3, and I did play like New Vegas soon afterwards, and Fallout 4 when the game wasn't released somewhere in there. And I did look at Fallout 1, 2, and did play those games a little bit, and did kind of enjoy them so far. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, it's still like one of my most favorite RPG series I ever played.
Right. And go ahead.
Well, there is actually one more thing I would want to bring up with Fallout that, you know, it's funny that Fallout actually did start that the Fallout series is actually kind of a spiritual successor to the this EA interplay game known as Wasteland.
So there's
Although
now an official link between two of the biggest companies in the video gaming industry.
Yeah, because the original developers of Fallout 1 and 2 actually did work on Wasteland before. And, well, it was kind of as a result of Wasteland 2 not really being developed soon afterwards. But I kind of feel like, though, you should look on a video. I recommend just looking up on a video on the history of Fallout or something, just to get a better idea of the whole Wasteland game.
Right. and if you're looking, and if anyone out there is looking to get into Fallout, but since Microsoft now owns Bethesda, a bunch of the modern-ish Fallout titles are now available on Game Pass.
If you kind of prefer, like, I do recommend maybe playing Fallout 3 New Vegas if you want to go for more Bethesda's traditional first-person, third-person RPG, or you could go with the interplay games if you want to go for more turn-based, more of a turn-based isometric RPG.
Yes. And that about does it for this episode of SmackDown. Next week, we will be exploring the subreddit Furry IRL because the YRC people think I'm a furry and they think that I enjoy this shit. And in the next episode of Raw, will feature me playing True Crime Streets of LA. Now that's something to look forward to. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.
See ya.